Hello, everyone. Welcome to a different format of Cal Animage podcast. Here, we only have two people today, so I'm here with Cadence Hira. Hello, how are you doing?
Hello, hello. Good, good.
Um, can you tell us about yourself and what you do and stuff?
Sure. Yeah, so my name is Cadence Hira. I guess I write music, um, music theory aficionado or something. I have a YouTube channel where I kind of talk about music theory as it appears in, I guess, more modern form of like contemporary, like animation, games, things like that. Um, yeah, I guess that's pretty much kind of like my whole shtick, really.
Yeah, so I found out about your YouTube channel and thought it was cool, which is why I wanted to talk to you. Um, I saw several. I haven't seen all the videos yet, but I watched several. I like the anime canon one that came out recently. I don't know what the first one I saw was, but it may have been the one about the Blackadder chord. I think that's a cool thing. Um, yeah,
Like anime video game stuff like
yeah.
um yeah, like that kind of stuff really. Like I played a lot of games, watched a lot of anime, and like this stuff's cool. And kind of like also growing up, I guess in kind of like the very classical kind of sphere. I didn't really grow up with like a lot of like jazz or I guess more like contemporary forms of musical expression. I kind of like grew up playing violin and like the whole school orchestra kind of thing and like the extracurricular kind of thing. So very classical, and I think I kind of got into even I guess like being able to kind of understand or really like analyze in I guess like in a formal way, starting like late high school, early college. Um, yeah, and then kind of just from there, like went down the whole rabbit hole and kind of just like analyzed everything I've ever been interested in and that kind of thing. Um, and then yeah, I guess like in terms of like making videos, I've had a few ideas actually specifically. My first, actually, I guess this is like a fun fact. I haven't, I guess, told anybody like, well, I guess like the general public, but my first video was actually going to be a Steven Universe like analysis video, kind of breaking down like kind of just like a bunch of different things about like, motifs and things like that. But when I was in the middle of recording it, I actually like destroyed my laptop um, by accident with like a glass of water. So I said, screw it, I'm not going to redo it. I'll just make the Coltrane Changes video, which is I think my first music theory analysis video I put on my channel.
Oh yeah, I saw that
Um,
one.
oh, cool. Yeah, that's so. Yeah, that's kind of. I was thinking like just things that I had in mind that I've like been thinking about for a while that I wanted to put into like a long form kind of like video essay. And so I think granted I made my Coltrane video like 10 minutes long because I got lazy with the editing, um but yeah, that's kind of like I think my the very the very short kind of TLDR I guess backstory of all of my music theory stuff.
That's cool. That's interesting. Interesting that you came from like a classical background because like now you're like jazz, right?
Yeah, yeah. I think they're not necessarily like mutually exclusive, of course. I think like a large part of like my sensibilities with well, I think like playing, of course, especially, and like writing to some extent, I think is very much informed by like how I grew up with like playing the violin and that kind of thing. Um, but yeah, I guess I have a lot like many further thoughts about like classical versus like the so-called jazz analysis systems, but
Hmm.
we can go into that later, I'm
I
sure.
mean, we I mean, we could talk about it right now. Like this is like just like a discussion, I guess, cuz like I actually didn't have I'm like I grew up in like jazz basically. I came up playing jazz. I sort of stepped away from jazz recently because like I wanted to do like more weeb stuff. And I
Mhm.
thought like pure jazz was like restrictive to me. But I'm still like at heart I'm like a jazz person, like trained in that sort of like education system. and I like improvising and all that stuff. And I didn't get any classical like education really until college when I went to Berkeley, and the entire music department was basically only classical, and I was like, whoa, this is so
Mhm.
weird. um,
Yeah, yeah.
I did get some classical education when I was like 5 in piano, but that wasn't I like quit piano. But yeah. Anyway, I think it's like um so from like a classical perspective, when you look at like I don't know, like video game and like other kinds of music, like what do you see in it that like what does it look like from like a more classical perspective, just cuz like I don't really have that experience
For sure,
theoretically.
yeah. Um, let me think about how to articulate that. I guess kind of like as I would, I guess kind of like perceive it, I guess back when I was like completely kind of classical. Um, I guess it's a lot more like, let me think about that actually. Um, sorry. That's my phone. I guess not to say like, of course, either are mutually exclusive, but I think classical is like a larger focus on like super melodic kind of like orchestration kind of thing. Um, I guess kind of like in contrast to I think like the very like kind of harmony like block chord kind of focused like jazz
Oh
kind of
yeah.
thing. I guess like thinking about like even like game tunes or like anime tunes that I would have like learned or have thought of when I was younger. I think like kind of like classical approach is like a lot more like it's like how does this melody work? Like what does this melody mean kind of in relation to like the harmony? But I guess more so like melody focused, whereas I guess like in contrast to the like in terms of like the actual um school jazz idiom, it's like whereas it would be how does this harmony work, right?
Yeah.
Like how does this melody fit on top of this harmony?
Yeah, I
I
definitely
guess it's
see
kind
that.
of like yeah, yeah. Or like how does this like melody work like orchestrationally? Or if it's like a focus on harmony, it's like how does a harmony work orchestrationally, right? And of course, yeah, all of this is to say it's not mutually exclusive at all. But this is kind of like from what I understood of like the orchestral like violin perspective.
Mm.
Um, yeah, yeah.
So like how what was your like jazz origin story?
Um, so pretty much okay, so this is gonna be like a whole soapbox thing that I guess I haven't I guess I've gone into a little bit on my channel, but I guess I haven't had like my complete soapbox moment. But um, I took AP Music Theory in my junior year of high school, just because I was like, you know what, like I started writing music like a little bit before that, maybe like my freshman year of high school, a little bit younger, and I've been doing like string quartet like arrangements for like kind of a while, like a while before that. Um, and I was thinking like, you know what? I feel like I've done all of this like completely by ear. Like I can't name any of these chords. I don't know like what's happening. I'm gonna learn music theory. I'm gonna see kind of what it's all about, so I can actually like have like I guess formal education to back up what I'm doing. Um, and then I took it, and I think the teacher was amazing. The course was well put together, and it was fun. But I realized is it is like complete bullshit. I don't know if I'm allowed to say bullshit.
Oh, that's
You have to
fine.
bleep that, but okay, cool. It was complete bullshit. There was I think well just like as like conceptually, you have to consider that like AP music theory and I think like CM and all of like the standard, I guess, like so-called classical curriculum for music theory is I mean it's antiquated. It's like you're learning how to analyze things from like the 17th century, right? Something like that.
Yeah.
And they're saying like this is music theory. And like this is all we're gonna take a look at. Um, and like I think just apart from the analysis system, which I think isn't very comprehensive, there's I think so many rules that made sense 500 years ago, or I guess 400 years ago, that
300 maybe.
make zero sense, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, like yeah, like hundreds and hundreds of years ago that we just still teach for literally no reason, right?
Yeah, I didn't take AP Music Theory, because we didn't even have it, but, I think I probably encountered a similar thing, like, in our harmony classes at Berkeley. So,
Mhm,
like, I came in, like, cause we did some Roman numeral stuff in, like, jazz, but it was, like, it was, like, the jazzy version, it's, like
mhm, mhm.
it's not so strict, and when I came in, they were, like, so strict about, like, "Oh, something has to, like, end in, like, a perfect authentic cadence or something." I was like, "Why?"
Exactly.
And it's
Yeah.
like I think I had good, theory teachers, or at least, one good one, who was, like, a modern classical composer, and he was like, "Yeah, like, none of this is, like I don't use any of this while composing. It's just, like, a thing we teach as, like, a exercise." So I was like, "Oh, yeah," it's like, 'cause I was also a math major, it's like, oh,
Mhm.
it's just like a mathematical exercise basically, which can be kind of fun sometimes, but, like, I
For
don't
sure.
know, like, I really didn't get that much out of harmony, classical harmony, because to me it's just like the jazz harmony that I learned, except, like, not as good or something, you know what I mean? It's like more
Yeah, yeah.
just like a more, like, anal version of jazz harmony, and then
For sure, for sure.
the thing that I got from classical music, because now I have a lot more, like, I don't know, I was kind of like a jazz snob in, like, high school. I have a lot more respect for, like, classical music now. The thing that I got from it was, I took this counterpoint class, and it just got me started, thinking about, like, outside of, like, block chords that, like,
Mhm.
like, how all the voices, like, go together to form harmony. So it's like, actually, harmony is kind of it just, like, is a lie at some point. Harmony is just multiple melodies and all that, whatever. I don't know, like
Yep.
Jacob Collier, whatever thingy. Uh,
Yeah.
I mentioned his name. I don't know. Um, let's not go there. Um,
That's that's another rabbit hole we can
yeah,
go
but yeah, you know what I mean. Like, I thought, like,
Yeah.
counterpoint was cool. Um, yeah. So, like, but I think, like, when I got into, like, weeb music around, like, the time that I went into college, I started, like, actually seriously, like, taking weeb music seriously. Um, and, like, looking at the chord changes, it is like pop stuff in general is kind of more like jazz, where it's like sort of just has like block chords, you know.
Mhm. Yep.
Um, so I think like, to me, like, jazz theory is more like compatible with like pop stuff when analyzing it.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. I guess that's another soapbox I could get on for like jazz harmony in general. But I think for sure it's like more modern, I guess, like for lack of a better way of saying it. Yeah, like you can analyze things like I guess in a modern setting, right? You don't need to have like perfect authentic cadence,
Yeah,
or like, has like no parallel fifths and any of that nonsense, right? Like
yeah,
that's, yeah,
yeah. Good guitars are just parallel fifths, and they sound great.
exactly, right.
Um, I don't know. This has nothing to do with like weave stuff, but I don't care. Like, I was thinking about like, I don't know, like, tonality is like a thing. Tonality is like means like common practice harmony, but, um, coming from like a jazz kind of perspective, I always thought that, like, loose tonality or something was basically any way you have a key center, like, any kind of key center basically to me meant
Mhm.
tonality. Anything that's not like completely atonal. So, like,
For sure. Sorry,
God, I
I'm
wish I had a piano. I can't get my like MIDI thing mixed up, set up, but, like, if you talk about, classical, like, theory, and you have like a minor chord, um
Mhm.
you have like dun, dun, sorry, I'm a horrible singer. Like dun, 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 right? You just have a minor
Mhm,
thread. But in jazz, if you like say minor, it could mean a variety of things. For example, like McCoy Tyner playing minor will just like start playing fourths. And it's like
mhm,
technically out of the key, but it's all just minor to me. It's like just like Brecker stuff over like a minor key center that's like has like pentatonic scales going out like, um outside of the key center, but like it's just all minor to me, like as long as it
mhm,
resolves to like a minor, it's all minor to me. Um,
for
so
sure.
I take like a really like loose view of tonality, and I see like a sort of I see a sort of like use of tonality that's not like I don't know, common practice period tonality in a lot of pop music. And like for like theory reasons, I'm really interested in like Japanese music, but like in general, pop
Mhm,
music has like this thing like you know it has like these super like satisfying like I guess they're not cadences, but like resolutions, whatever. I call them cadences. They're not though. They have super
yeah, I shy from
satisfying.
saying cadence.
Like flat 6 7 1 just like resolves
Mhm,
perfectly on a guitar with like power chords. To me, that's a cadence. Anything that is like, I don't know, like meme, like text, whatever, satisfying or something like that.
mhm.
um, so I guess that brings us to like weeb music or like Japanese music stuff in general. Like, what do you like about it? Like, why do you bother like making videos like analyzing it?
Um, chords, is the short answer. I like chords. I think Japanese music, which I could go into a lot, but there's, I think just a lot more chords. They have a lot of cool things that, kind of happens in, like, the J-pop, J-rock context that, I guess for the most part is, kind of far and few in between in Western music, at least like, in a lot of ways. And, of course, that isn't to say I think, well, if you've watched the anime canon video, like it certainly appears. I think that's like a huge misconception is that like it's certainly not like I guess I've already said that before so many times, but mutually exclusive. Um, that like these same things happen in Western music, right? But in terms of like frequency, that
Yeah,
I guess I can't like back up with like numbers or anything, obviously, but it feels a lot more frequent in Japanese music, and it feels like almost more idiomatic.
yeah,
Um,
definitely.
so yeah, I think that's kind of the biggest appeal. And in terms of like why videos about those things, I think people are more interested in seeing like like nobody wants to watch like a Voltec video. People would watch like a video about Evangelion or something, right?
Yeah. Although I Evangelion has some songs with like cool chords actually. But yeah, besides that,
For sure.
that's exactly why I like Japanese music too. Just basically cool chords go brr, you know. um
Yeah.
so like uh cuz like being like a like jazz boy in high school, like I heard like the, like Kill a Kill opening like Blend S, which was like a meme. Um
Mhm.
And it was like, "Oh, yeah, confirmation." So,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, it's, like, super funny, and that chord progression is, like, so common. I hear it all the time.
It is.
Super cool. Yeah, anime canon. I didn't know it was called because like, I didn't know it was, like, Pachelbel's canon until like, except modified until recently.
Mhm.
Or wait, yeah, it is, right? Yeah, it is Pachelbel's
Yeah, yeah.
canon. Except like I don't know. I still have like the jazz snob in me, so I want it to like everything goes back to like Charlie Parker. So, uh,
Sure. No, I mean, like it's I think that's like a huge thing. Well, yeah, you've seen the video, but I think that's probably the first point that it's really kind of like connected like the canon form with like secondary dominance.
yeah, 2 5s, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, and I think like one of the I was talking with this classical pianist who I know, and like I was talking about like weeb music, and we were like, it isn't the definitive answer. It's far from it, but like, it's like, yeah, what makes that like that anime sound? It was like 2 5 to the 4, 2 5 to the 4 every time. It's
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, pretty
God,
much.
I wish I had the piano. Uh, yeah,
I can play them.
yeah. It's so good. It's like even with no harmonic context, it just
Yep.
works.
You hear it.
Du-du-du-du-du-du-du-du. Some melody over it. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that sound. Oh, um like favorite like weeb chord progression. Do you have
As a question,
yeah. Yeah.
um, shit, I think I'd be hard pressed to say it's not the anime canon. I don't know. I think it's pretty contextual. I think anime canon is just so freaking nice. I think like in terms of like quintessential weeb chord progressions, I think there's three, unless I'm forgetting like a huge thing. There's the like the anime canon, the
Yeah.
there's the obviously the Royal Road,
Yep.
which I'm sure you know. The yeah, I don't know if I should play it for the
Yeah,
podcast,
sure.
but
Sure.
sure. Um, shoot, which key am I in? Uh, like that kind of thing.
Yep.
The what is it? I'm completely tripping. 3 2 5 3 6, or 4 5 3 6, depending on whatever you like. I think it's technically 4 5 3 6, right? That's the
Yeah.
Royal Road.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, 4 5 3 6. Um, and then the last one is like the shoot. It's like the kind of the starts on 4, and it's like the anime canon but on 4.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. I think those are kind of like the three quintessential
That that's like a
like
Vocaloid,
anime
common like Vocaloid
for
thingy.
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. It's actually like I think that's probably like the anime like chord progression that's most prevalent in Western music as well. Um,
Oh yeah,
it's
what's that? What is that song? I forgot.
oh that's I know exactly what you're talking about. Just the two of us.
Yeah, just it's
Um,
that one, right? Yeah, pretty sure it's
yeah,
that
yeah.
one. That's a good
Yeah.
chord progression. Great for like jamming for like too long.
Honestly, yeah, yeah.
It's just like never
There's a
ending,
lot
so
of
you have to like take like 40 choruses.
yeah, pretty much right. It's kind of just like a really nice loop. Um, yeah. You know what actually is that is Demi Lovato. Sorry, not sorry. I was just thinking about that the other
Hmm,
day. So, but yeah.
I wouldn't
Out of
know.
those three, I mean, it's one of those things that you would like you really wouldn't think is like that common in the West, but it really is. But I don't know. Probably anime canon. I'm biased.
Yeah, I think anime canon is like super cool. Also, it's
Yeah,
like
yeah.
I've been thinking about like aesthetics. So like
Mhm.
I don't know, it's like really hard to explain because it's like music theory is just like chords go burr. But then there's like this other side of it where it's like cultural and stuff. There's like stuff like chemicals like splashing around in your brain, and then there's like multiple people who like have the same like or who have like slightly different chemicals like splashing around, but like they like come to a consensus, and then that's like culture or something like that.
Yeah.
But anyway, so like I was thinking like how like why does like anime stuff like especially I think when like well, it doesn't matter what the chord progression is, but a lot of songs that have like this, this like melancholy, like Japanese feel to them. A lot of them have like the Royal Road progression.
Mhm, mhm.
And I was just thinking, it's like, I think that I made a video recently on Mafu Mafu. Do you know Mafu Mafu?
Yeah, yeah. I think,
Yeah.
I covered a Mafu Mafu song actually, or like I talked about it rather in the Anime Canon video. The
Oh,
Pokemon
did you?
opening. He's
Oh
one of
yeah,
the
the one
yeah.
two three. Yeah, yeah. Um,
Mhm, yeah.
I made a video a while ago on that got like kind of popular. I made one recently more on like actual music theory instead of just like I don't know what my first video was about. It was like talking about his voice. Yeah, okay. So like I made one recently on like actual music theory and I went into like I proposed that like um that the like melancholy like anime feeling is comes from like wabi sabi, which is like a stereotypical thing to assume because anytime anyone talks about like Japanese aesthetics, it has to do with wabi sabi. But like I really do think that it does. Do you know what I'm talking about?
No, I don't think I'm familiar with the term.
Okay, so like I don't know. Let's pull up Wikipedia. um
Yeah.
so like but wabi sabi is like this Japanese aesthetics term, which is like it comes from like Mahayana Buddhism, where like you acknowledge that like everything is impermanent and everything is imperfect, and like I guess from
Interesting.
like the Buddhist point of view, that's like a step towards enlightenment. But like it's just sort of permeated Japanese art where you get this like focus on like impermanence and imperfection and like that as like a source of beauty.
Mhm.
And I think you feel this a lot in anime, where you just have like in anime it's usually like you have like um some imperfection or like something that ends, so it's like impermanent and you have like a longing for like something else. I think you get this a lot in like I don't know, Vocaloid songs, like melancholy weeb Vocaloid songs, and I really think that it's like a uniquely Japanese aesthetic.
Hmm. Interesting. Yeah, I think that's something that I would have to think about, like, for a really long time, but I think I see what you mean, yeah.
And like I'm not saying it's more than just the chord progression because you could have like happy songs with like the Royal Road chord progression, but you could also make it like I don't know, like weeb melancholy. That's what I'm gonna call it, weeb melancholy. Um, yeah. Once again, I wish I could play the piano, but like there's like a ton of like Vocaloid songs that just have this feeling that have that progression. And what I was thinking was that the thing about that progression is it doesn't end on it doesn't like I don't know cadence. A lot of songs that are like that. For example, like Yume Hanabi by Mafu Mafu or something. They don't ever like confirm whether the key is the minor six or the major.
Mhm. Mhm.
So it's like, can we even say that it's a minor six? Why not like a minor one? Um, and
Yeah,
I
yeah.
was thinking like it just hangs in this like limbo between like the two qualities, which is kind of what like melancholy is.
Interesting. Yeah, I actually definitely know what you mean. I think about, there's the Yoasobi tune, "Racing into the Night" that I think kind of
Yeah, yeah.
captures that kind of vibe. Yeah.
Was what's the chord progression? Is it just the
I think it's Royal Road.
yeah.
Um,
Yeah, it is.
yeah.
I love that song. The piano line is cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
I
I
should
don't
stop
think I can play
singing.
that. I
um,
mean,
it,
I got you. I can hear it.
it's super cool that like a song that big is first of all because like I'm a Vocaloid weeb, like is made by a Vocaloid producer and is one of
Oh,
the
really?
like biggest songs in Japan, or was like whenever it came
Mhm.
out. And then also that it just has like kind of pretty cool like piano lines, like beyond what I was expecting of like top like top 40 charts or whatever, you know.
Mhm.
But like in Japan, like I think there's something about like the music industry in Japan that like allows like I don't know, in my opinion, like more interesting like music to like break like the top 40 or whatever. For some reason.
Yeah. Um, I was thinking about that too, kind of like, I guess kind of doing my research for like the anime canon. It's like why do um or like I guess yeah, why is the industry like that, right? For both like the West and Japan. Um yeah, I guess that being said, I have no answer for that, but I guess precedent, maybe that's kind of just what it is. It's just like it started like that, that like they can put out more. I guess I'll say like weird shit just as like a kind of flippant way of saying that, but like they can put out more weird shit and it has proved successful, so they can just keep doing that. Um, Whereas in the West, like what's proved successful is like I guess, and not to say like there isn't cool stuff, of course, but like the more standard sound. Um, yeah.
Yeah. Um I think Japan has their own version of that though. Like I think like the idol stuff, like the AKB48s are like and stuff like that is kind of like Japan's version of just like, you know, standard stuff. um
Interesting.
but like that kind of stuff doesn't really get attention overseas because the industry doesn't push it. For example, like K-pop, they push it, but like that side of that side of like J-pop, they don't really care about what happens overseas as long as they have like extreme like otaku fans that buy like 40 CDs or whatever that
Mhm.
keeps the industry working. Yeah, I'm not a fan of that kind of like that side of like the Japanese like music industry. But
For sure.
I don't know, seeing like Kenshi Yonezu, another former Vocaloid producer, and also who does like cool stuff in music, just like be really popular was pretty cool. Have you heard like Kenshi Yonezu's stuff?
Like maybe, but I'm really bad at knowing things by name.
Oh, it was he did a Peace Sign, which was a My Hero Academia opening.
Yes. Yeah, I know
Yeah.
it.
Um yeah, he was also a like big Vocaloid producer who did songs like Sand Planet and um what else? Matryoshka. Um,
Interesting.
I think Panda Hero is in 5, or is it Matryoshka? I don't know. He does some cool stuff. Um, Definitely interesting. Um, do you have like a favorite like Japanese like song or something?
Favorite Japanese songs out of like anything that's
Yeah.
like in the general? That's a good question. I'm sure if I thought about that for a while, I could give you like I guess probably like my favorite thing. Um, oh, um, I think just without thinking super hard, the "Libera Me from Hell" from Gurren Lagann.
Oh, really?
I think it's just like so weird. It's just but I think it works really well. Just
Hmm.
obviously like a lot of nostalgia from like the anime itself, but I think yeah, just like opera rap. I think it's just and like very distinctly Japanese as well. I think it's yeah. I think just very fun and eclectic. I guess I love things like that.
That's cool. That's my favorite anime.
Really?
Yeah.
Same.
Yeah. um, yeah, that's a masterpiece, definitely.
Yeah.
Although I do like that song, but I like the opening more.
For sure.
Sorairo days.
Sorairo? Yeah.
Yeah. And I also like that song that plays Happily Ever After, like when uh in the scene like uh Aniki ga shinda. So whatever that scene. My brother's dead.
Mm,
Yeah, that's a good song. I think Gurren Lagann
yeah,
has good music. It also has like
yeah.
random like Linkin Park. You know, like this
Like,
that song that sounds exactly like Linkin Park.
um, not from memory.
I think it's like oh yeah, it's you got some nerve coming out here, that one.
Yeah. Yeah, I got you, I got you. That's
Oh,
funny.
speaking of like Linkin Park, do you like emo stuff?
Wonderful segue. Okay, so I have, like, a huge confession, that, like, I kinda just skirted around in the video. Like, I think I was, like, emo in aesthetic, and, like, I did not listen to okay, like, I listened to, like, a little bit of, like, all of the emo stuff, but, like, I didn't listen to, like, the complete discography of any particular band by any means. Like, I listened to, like, a little bit of, like, All American Rejects and, like, Blink-182 and, like, like,
Mm,
all the pop punk nonsense, like, in that era, but, like, I really wasn't, like, actually emo.
okay. I mean, I've been claiming that I've become emo in the last month, but I'm not a true emo either, because like I've been listening to like oh, it's been a long like journey, but like I got into like Animals as Leaders like 2 years ago, Animals as Leaders.
Mhm, yeah.
Because like, jazz to jazz. I've been really into the jazz. I've been making some to jazz too, but like I got into that. Then like I got into like metal, like modern metal in general, like gent and metalcore. And then like
Cool.
metalcore like eventually led me down like the path to like emo. So
Interesting,
that's like
okay,
my
yeah.
emo origin story, like listening to like emo metalcore. Yeah, but I actually um I don't know. I don't really like a lot of emo stuff actually. I just like emo metalcore and like My Chemical Romance. Basically, that's what I like.
Mm, nice.
So
Actually,
yeah.
I have a friend who's like that.
So I
Um,
just saw like the MCR like part of the anime canon video and I was like, yo.
yeah, honestly, like, that was, I think, the only MCR tune I had on my iPod all those years ago. Um, yeah, I'm like, "This band's cool. I'm never gonna listen to any of their stuff ever, but they're cool." Um,
They have a
yeah.
few other good songs, I think. Helena's good. Have you heard them?
Mm.
And then
That I literally have not heard a single, at least, like, that I can recognize, like, or recall.
um Famous Last Words is good. I am not afraid to keep on living. That one. I
Like,
don't
it
know.
maybe sounds familiar. I would have to listen to it.
I don't know. I like emo stuff. Well, actually, I don't like a lot of emo stuff.
Like, you like the idea of emo.
Yeah, I
Um,
think like yeah, I think the idea of like screamo music is really cool.
mhm.
Like I started learning how to scream recently, actually. I don't
Nice.
I don't know. Okay. Um that was a like diversion. Um Do you have any like favorite like video game music?
Ooh, I think that's another one of those questions that I would just, like, sit here, like, pondering for hours, but, I'll just, like, just say random things. I think, like, it's like Sega music is, like, non-Sonic Sega music is, I think, extremely underrated, and, like, under discussed, like Bayonetta, Super Monkey Ball, like, a lot of like, super banger soundtracks that I might talk about at some point, but, yeah, completely underappreciated in my opinion. Um, other than that, I think um, I think kind of boring, but honestly, like, probably, like, the Gen 4, like, Pokemon, Pokemon soundtrack, I think was probably like the like best or sure, I'll just say my favorite like video game soundtrack, I guess, encompassing both like the Diamond and Pearl Platinum and like Heart Gold and Soul Silver soundtracks. Which I guess of course it's just like Silver and Gold, but obviously nostalgia playing into it, but it's like freaking fire, you know? Like I think just so many like super I guess it sounds like super boring to say it like this, but like efficient melody writing. Just like they're I guess they're all bangers. They don't feel like they're trying too hard. I think especially like the Hard Gold and Soul Silver soundtracks like feel very I guess like minimal, which I think is like very quintessentially like Johto. Kind of like captures that and maybe like I don't fully understand the whole thing, but like the kind of like wabi sabi kind of thing.
Hmm.
Where it's kind of it's just like it feels very kind of like I don't know, like ephemeral, but
Mm.
like authentic, I guess. I guess not to get like super pedantic about like little beeps and boops. But but yeah, I guess yeah, I could go into that a lot more. But Diamond Pro Platinum, Heart Gold Soul Silver.
Okay. I I'm not a gamer, so I actually don't know anything about game music.
No,
um, I've been
should take a
meaning
listen,
to,
or at least
just cause like I'm surrounded by like the VGM like kind of stuff. Um, like um, I don't know. It's just like all my like contemporaries that I like look up to are like VGM people actually. Like Patrick Bartley is
mm,
like one of my heroes. He does like VGM, like Patrick Bartley.
mhm,
Yeah. So I've seen like I don't know, like I don't know. I've seen like 8-bit music theory videos.
mhm.
And that's like
Yeah,
my knowledge of VGM basically. Seems pretty
yeah. I mean,
cool.
I honestly like just like I think listening to video game music, like is well, not to say it's like more than enough. You know, play games. Games are cool, but like I think you can get like a really interesting perspective by listening to like a lot of game music that I think doesn't really appear in a lot of other like mediums. I couldn't really articulate why with like I guess immediately, but yeah, I guess a lot of interesting perspective. Also, shout out to AP Music Theory. I think also a huge inspiration for my channel. Yeah, he does a lot of cool stuff.
Yeah. I especially liked I'm biased because like Dark Souls is one of the only games I actually play, but I really liked his analysis of Gwyn's theme. Um I like that. But like I don't know, Dark Souls is not like VGM, It's not like that kind of like Sega and Nintendo core, you know.
For sure. I mean, well, I will say that like I guess it's like I guess like VGM. I think as a term probably. I guess like it implies that kind of like very beeps and boops kind of like Nintendo stuff. But I think like video game music in general, especially like modern video game music, I think is kind of like splitting into two. I guess like two kind of camps. And obviously, I think nothing wrong with that. But yeah, which is another thing I could talk about for hours. But yeah, I think it's like becoming a very interesting kind of environment for like being like a video game composer because you could have like the more like AAA like non Nintendo like super like um what's the word I was thinking of like interactive kind of stuff versus like the very Nintendo like 3 minute bangers that loop.
Mm.
um of course like I guess I'm a little bit biased because I grew up on the latter, but yeah, I mean I think like by no means is like like Dark Souls and that kind of stuff like anything less than all the other Nintendo stuff.
I think like I get what you're talking about with like the two like VGM camps. I think like the AAA games to me they just sound like film scores, so they're
Yeah,
kind of
yeah,
like
for sure.
subsumed under that label to me.
It is kind of interesting because I do think that like a lot of those kinds of like game scores that are like trying to think of like a term that doesn't sound disparaging. Um but I guess, like, yeah, sure, like the AAA sound, is very, like, kind of like film score, like, I don't wanna say derived, but at least, like, from my experience, like, in the, like, the film video game world at, well, my Berkeley, it feels
Yeah.
very, like, we're pretty mutually inclusive. I feel like a lot of people coming into, like, games or game scoring, like, also do film scoring, and I feel like they kinda come into game scoring from that perspective, which I feel like is a relatively modern, like, or I guess, like, within the last decade or so, and this is, like, completely unfounded and just, like, on my own intuition, I guess, but, it feels like that's kind of, like, the approach for a lot of, like, game scores and things like that these days. I think of, like, people who do both, like Disaster Piece, I don't know if you know Disaster Piece, but,
No.
like like him, and I'm sure other people who I could name if I could think for a little bit longer, but, yeah, I think it's kind of a very interesting kind of thing, right? Whereas, like, Koji Kondo, like, wasn't doing films,
Yeah.
things like that.
I think it might be because video games have only had like the technological like capacity to be like cinematic in the last decade basically. You
Yeah,
know,
that's true too.
like a lot of big games, at least from what I see, like cuz I don't play them, like are going for a more like basically like you're playing a movie or something like that. So,
Mhm. Yeah, that is true, that is true. I think, like, a huge focus on, like, interactivity really, like, I guess, yeah, like, I think, like, the most quintessential kind of, like, the David Cage games, like Detroit Become Human, I guess. Like, things like that, where it's like you're pretty much playing like a choose your own adventure movie. But I think, like, short of that, like, you're, yeah, like, you're pretty much, like, controlling a movie, um, and as such, it's like a film score that reacts to how, like, to what you're doing, I guess.
yeah. Um we might as well talk about film scores. Um
Sure.
what do you think of like or actually just like what's your like favorite film score?
You know, I have an immediate answer for this, and it is Kung Fu Panda 2.
Hmm.
Um, I think it's just like, well, I'm actually gonna talk about that in a future video very soon. So I guess that's a spoiler for you. But yeah, I think, yeah, I guess like a lot of cool things with that. I think it's like authentic, innovative, and I guess just like it's a freaking banger. A lot of cohesive like motifs, um, things that come together nicely. I guess, yeah, I could go a lot more into it if you have like specific questions, but yeah, Kung Fu Panda 2. That's my answer.
I haven't heard it. I haven't seen that movie. Is it
I would recommend watching it.
who's the composer?
Hans Zimmer
Yeah.
and John
Okay.
Powell.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that I seem to remember Hans Zimmer did too. Did he do one?
Mhm. Yeah.
Okay. Not like a thing you would normally associate with like Hans Zimmer actually.
Exactly, and I think that's also what makes it super cool. I guess in general, I think my favorite Hans scores are the ones where it's like not like the whole Inception thing, right? Like
Mhm. Yeah.
yeah, like Interstellar, I thought was also great. Yeah.
I don't know when it's coming out, but like it's not like a high quality video actually. It's kind of just like kind of like a ramble video. But like I at one point I talk about like Hans Zimmer and like kind of complain about You've heard it before, you know, like the like melody, it's like he has like two notes in his melody, you know, whatever. But like I mean, obviously there are scores where like he uses like actual like melodies, but like his most famous and like influential scores have like I don't know, two notes. They sound really good though. Like I really love like the Dark Knight soundtrack, even though
Mhm.
the main motif is literally just a minor third, da, da, right? But like somehow he makes an entire like cohesive like score out of like two notes. So I don't know. But my main argument was that like um there's this like whole sort of like modern like post Zimmer film score like thing going on, and Hiroyuki Sawano is the best person in it. in my opinion. That was my argument. Because Hiroyuki Sawano basically like takes I don't know, like I'm really tired of like epic music. I just like hate
Mm,
epic music. But like Hiroyuki Sawano like makes me like actually enjoy like epic music again because like I think he usually focuses on extremely powerful and memorable melody. Of often it's like the opening or something like that, or something with lyrics. So it's like if you have like something written for vocals, then it like forces it to be like a or it makes it more likely to be a good melody. So like
interesting.
like the Attack on Titan soundtrack has a ton of really memorable moments with vocals, with like an orchestra backing it and being epic.
Yeah, yeah. I think I'm familiar with a little bit of that.
So yeah, I like Hiroyuki Sawano.
Cool. What else has he done?
uh, Kill la Kill. I really like that soundtrack.
Oh, okay. Like Satsuki's theme, I think one of my favorite anime
Yeah,
tunes. I probably actually maybe even I like that more than the Gurren Lagann
hmm.
one. Yeah.
That's a definitely a good one. Especially because it has like electric guitar in it. And then I like Ryuko's theme a lot. Well,
Mhm.
it's the orchestral version of "Don't Lose Your Way" is really good. Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
and I like how he just another one of my favorite soundtracks, Owari no Seraph, he did too, and he just like takes the opening theme and makes it like an orchestral version. So there's like this one part where there's
Oh,
just like
interesting.
this beautiful like orchestral rendition of one part of the opening. And it's just like hits you in the feels. And I think like
Hmm,
the all the stuff where Sawano has like made me feel feels is when like he has just like a melody up front and prominent and it's like right there with like epic stuff in the background.
interesting. Yeah, yeah. I feel that. I feel that.
Um so like I don't know. Weird question, but um like do you what do you think about like musical like progression?
Like I guess what do you mean by that?
Like progressing a genre, like ev- evolving a
As in just
genre.
like yeah. I guess like the act of a genre evolving.
Um or like progression as like a goal.
Oh, interesting. Um, I suppose I've never really thought about that like I guess as directly as that. Um, I guess my thoughts I guess without thinking about that too much is that it feels like writing music for the sake of like progressing a genre, I guess specifically. Um, I guess it seems disingenuous. Um, I think like if you're writing music kind of like authentically, well, not to be like all like dumb and artsy about it, but I guess like you're writing music authentically, like you're trying to say something, whether that's like whatever you're trying to say in any musical form or aspect of the music, and that's authentic. I think it'll speak for itself and it'll progress the genre like as a byproduct of the work existing. I think like writing it for the sake of progressing a genre at least feels disingenuous to me.
I see. I guess I would agree. Um but I was just thinking like when I'm writing like a major like process of how I write is like basically wondering like why does X not exist and then doing X? So I don't know. That would be like progression, I guess.
I mean,
Um,
and I think like if that's like what you're trying to say, like I think yeah, like then that works, and I think that's authentic, you know.
so what's your like composition like process like? That's like a cursed question actually, but
Just in, like if I were to just like sit down, like kind of how do I go about writing?
yeah.
I guess it would be kind of different for like if it's for myself or if it's for like a gig or for something that I like to picture or to game, I guess. Do you mean kind of like in general or for the former, the latter?
Uh, like if you just like wanted to write something like for yourself that sounds cool or something.
For sure. Let me think about that. I feel like if I'm like have no pressure to like sit down and write something just like immediately, um, I think a large part of my compositional process is just like like I like wake up from well, I guess from like sleep and I'm like, holy shit, I heard the coolest thing in my dream. Um, or like I'm in the shower, I'm like, these notes would work really well in a melody. I guess kind of just like, you know, I guess very um very dumb and artsy kind of like random inspiration for just like anything. And then I kind of like build off of that. I guess like kind of also I've said this like three times already, but like also dumb and artsy is like I'm a synesthete. Um
Mm,
and like I have like perfect pitch and stuff. So like I think a large part of my process is like kind of just like getting little funnies that I think of and I'm like, oh interesting. Little colors and things like that. And then I could work off of that based off of like I guess yeah, like working off of motifs, whether that be like chords, melodies, things that I think of. Rarely like lyrics. Sometimes like lyrics kind of fit rhythmically into a melody that I could think of pretty fast. But and then yeah, from there, I would probably like sketch it out on piano, like sit at the piano and kind of like sing, play along, figure out chords, and then or vice versa. If I already have chords, I kind of like figure out a fun melody that'd work over that, and then everything else, like you know, rhythms, orchestration, things like that.
mhm. I yeah,
Yeah.
I am I frequently get inspiration like in the shower too, so
It's kind of just like it's like the place, you know, and then you have
yeah.
to like you like write out the notes like on the glass, you know.
I have not done that.
Okay,
I
no,
don't
I
think
just
my glass is not capable of doing that. I don't
oh,
know
okay, I see, I
why.
see.
Like not enough steam or some or like I don't know. But yeah, I've weird like confession, but I've gotten several like inspiration moments like on the toilet. So, uh,
No, it's just like the bathroom is just like the place to write music. Nothing wrong with that.
yeah. Um, also like when I'm trying to go to sleep, sometimes I have some moments where I'm like I just want to go to sleep. Oh wait, like cool lick just like came into my head, so I need to like voice record it now. Um,
I completely feel that, yeah.
uh, oh, do you like how do you write your stuff down or do you voice record it?
Um, kind of depends on like where I am or like what I'm doing. I guess like at the moment. Oh, it's like the dorkiest shit ever. But I have like a little I forgot what the brand is, but like just like a little ledger. That like it has like the it's like a little sheet music ledger. It's like a little like
Mm.
pocketbook kind of thing. Um, I wrote like the freaking Death Note thing on the front when I was like 15. I thought that was like the funniest thing ever, and now I'm like,
Oh,
oh, it's
me
so
too.
cringe. Okay, cool.
Like my little planner has Death Note on the front.
Oh my gosh, congratulations. You're also a weirdo. But yeah, like I've had that for like well over half a decade now, and whenever I have it on me and inspiration strikes, that's when I open it up and write like a scroll a little something something. But yeah, that's assuming I have it on me and I'm like I have a pen or something. But otherwise, I'll like voice memo it. If I'm like at my computer and I don't want to go grab my ledger, I just like type it into MuseScore and just like take a screenshot of it and just like put it on my desktop. Um, but I think like if it's like if I'm driving or something, or if it's just like I'm about to sleep and I'm like, oh, like I don't want to freaking record something, like I just like memorize it and I'm normally good with that.
Hmm, that's interesting. If I don't like voice record or write something down, I will forget it. I can't memorize stuff. It's weird.
I mean, I think that's probably also like that's good. Like, um, I guess yeah, like memories like fallible. And honestly, I've probably like forgotten like multiple things. Just I'm like, I'm lazy.
Does like I don't know, does having like perfect pitch help like memorizing stuff?
Um, I think yeah. I think it's hard for me to kind of know like um in terms of like memorization, like where the perfect pitch ends and where the synesthesia starts, or I guess vice versa. Um, because I think like for memorization, it's like a large part of just like I kind of just like see like the block of whatever it would be, if it's like chords or if it's melody or just an entire tune, like kind of like um I don't know, not to say like as a waveform because that's like ridiculous, but like as like a waveform as like my head would interpret that, I guess.
Mm.
Um and then I kind of can just like read it back.
Hmm.
But yeah.
Weird. I'm sure you get like a lot of annoying questions about oh like synesthesia and perfect pitch. But like I guess I'll ask that again. Like how does that work? Like doesn't that like
um
make you like too powerful for like reality to contain or something?
I think it just makes me unbelievably depressed.
Oh.
No, just kidding. Unless, no, just kidding. But I think it's I don't know. I think it's really just like more of a like a parlor trick. It's really just like perfect pitch, but like more like artsy and whimsical. Um, yeah, I guess in terms of like I guess like the cliche would be like the synesthete artist who was like painting in colors and like sees all the colors and puts all of it down. But I guess I don't really think like that. Like a large part of my writing is really just like here's some funny chords that I guess are influenced by like by colors somewhat, but also just like these sound cool like outside of the color stuff. Or maybe it's just like I'm very used to it and it's always like that, but it feels more like a parlor trick. And I guess in expression it doesn't seem like it's particularly synesthetic, I guess.
Okay. That's interesting. Um I relate to like the funny chords thing. Like I do that a lot. But that's like jazz based. No, um,
Pretty much.
jazz
I mean,
is
no, it is.
jazz is when you have funny chords. Um, no, but like it's interesting because like when I write, I almost never have anything visual going on in my head, except I had this one music video perfectly I wrote this one like Vocaloid song, which I haven't finished because like I can't speak Japanese and I want it to be in Japanese, but it's been sitting around for like 2 years. And I had a music video just come into my head as I write it, just like every shot, I knew exactly
Oh,
what was
interesting.
going on. Um, I can't draw, so I storyboarded some like horrible storyboard with like stick figures and stuff and sent it to an artist who like sort of half did it. It's still like in the process of becoming like even presentable, but like it was interesting that that one time I just had like an entire music video like pop into my head and I forgot what it looks like now, but I knew that at the time I like had every detail in my head about like,
Mhm.
you know, it was fun. Uh, can you like look at a painting and like make a song out of it.
I mean, like, like, have I? I don't think I've ever tried. Um, it's more like, there's, like, specific, like, ways, of, like, explaining each type of synesthesia, but I don't really care about any of that kind of stuff, but, it's more like sound turns into color, but not vice versa. Um,
Mm.
so I guess it's but, like, unless it's, like, in my head, I guess, it's a little bit easier to kind of translate that, I guess, but it's not, um yeah, it doesn't go the other way. Maybe I could, but who knows?
Have you seen Eve music videos?
Um, which one? Eve music videos?
Eve, yeah, like the person who did the Jujutsu Kaisen opening.
Oh, I don't think so.
I think you should. I don't know. Definitely like the
Interesting.
best. My favorite like Utaite music videos. Although Mafu Mafu did a really good one recently. But Eve, I don't know. This is a big diversion, but it just reminded me because like Eve music videos are like have colors in them that go with music. So that's like how it's
Interesting.
related.
I will
um
write that down.
he gets like anime studios to do his music videos for like they literally look better than most anime because anime is trash. So
Yeah, I hate anime.
I hate anime too. Um oh, do you have like a favorite anime opening?
Um, shit. Let me think about that. I think honestly, like it's hard for me to not say Sorairo days, but that's really just nostalgia. Let me think about that. Favorite anime opening. Um, and this is also like recency bias, but I think 1, 2, 3, like the original one,
Hmm.
with
Okay.
After the Rain, it's like
Good.
so freaking good, but it's completely recency bias because I'm like, man, this is so good. But I just heard it like a few weeks ago, so
It's good
I
to
don't know,
hear.
favorite of all time. Yeah, I mean it's fire. Mafu Mafu's so good.
Yeah.
I'm sure I don't need to tell you that though.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I guess I'll give you those two answers. One of them very recent, one of them completely blinded by nostalgia.
That's I mean, those are both good choices. I'd say Sorairo Days is probably up there for me too.
Yeah.
Um I actually I don't even count 1, 2, 3 as an anime opening just cuz like I just lump it in with Utaite because like Mafu
Mhm.
Mafu. So,
Yeah.
um
Do you listen to any Soraru?
oh yeah, I love Soraru. He's good.
Mm.
My second favorite Utaite.
Oh, nice.
um and then like Eve's a good one, but like Eve is not an Utaite anymore. Um he used to be, not anymore. I don't know. I made a video somewhere on this channel that's like my top 9 Utaite. Or top 10 Utaite. Yeah. I'd recommend all of them. Um
Oh yeah. I will take a look. I feel like I'm like um criminally under researched for I guess like anime music and like J-pop sphere of things and people.
um well, I mean, seems like you're well researched to be.
Like I just watched a shit ton of anime when I was in high school, and then I don't know like the names of anyone. Um,
Mm.
yeah,
I I'm mostly like into like Vocaloid and Utaite stuff. And like
yeah.
Toho. Um and like anime stuff, but it's hard to keep track of all the anime stuff. There's so much. Um but yeah. Um I guess one thing that's like a personal like a pet like obsession of mine is like the concept of progressive weeb music. Um
Mm.
do you have like an idea of what that would sound like based on the name?
Progressive progressive weed music. Well, I guess I would want to hear you elaborate it more.
Um okay, so like there's like prog rock. They used to call like jazz in like the 50s or 60s or something, progressive jazz, but like I guess they don't anymore. But like it's kind of that like progression is like part of jazz now, in my opinion. It's just like
Mm, yeah, that
ever
makes sense to
since
me. It's like
bebop,
the philosophy of jazz.
yeah, ever since bebop, basically progression has become part of jazz. And then there's like prog rock and prog metal, which I like. So I just start calling everything prog. Like I think Mafu Mafu is like really prog. Um, so like there's this idea of like progressive weeb. It's like weeb music, which is like evolving the genre, or like basically weeb music that has cool chords. It's
Yeah.
progressive weeb. So
Yeah, I definitely know what you mean.
there's I always talk about like a few people in like the jazz side of things, like Hakushi Hasagawa. I think I mentioned to you before, and this Vocaloid producer Iowa. Actually, I won't get copyrighted by Iowa because Vocaloid isn't bad. Oh wait, you can't hear my desktop. Okay, never mind.
I don't
Rip.
think so.
But
You can put it in post.
super cool. Like just uh, well, it's kind of a meme microtones, but they're like
Wait,
Iowa uses
microtones
yeah.
for
Iowa
Vocaloid
use
music?
yeah. Iowa uses some
Oh, shit.
microtonal stuff, but like in my opinion, like I'm kind of like tired of like the microtonal meme, just because like I've seen it like too much, like like Jacob Collier, whatever, Adam Neely meme, whatever. But
Yeah.
uh, Iwa uses really cool stuff besides microtones, like cool rhythms, like uncountable rhythms. Like not that you can't count them, but I can't count them while I'm listening. Um,
Interesting.
Key changes, cool stuff. Uh, cool chords, basically. So that's like
Could you send that?
prog weeb.
I'm interested.
Yeah, I'll like send a few things later, yeah. Or I could do it
Okay,
right
cool.
now. But like Hakushi Hasagawa is also like in similar sounding, but he's not a Vocaloid producer, although he has like collabed with one. Um uh but just Hakushi is a jazz pianist, but like does weep stuff and is like has ridiculous chops. So um
Yeah.
d- that's like another thing. That's like a side of it. And then there's like I don't know, there's this like like Neko Hacker.
Um, I don't think so.
Another like weeb person. Neko Hacker has like comes from like a prog metal guitar, like a prog guitar background, but does like weeb stuff with like high pitched voices, if you know. Um and he's collabed with like Ichika Nido and like Situai, Ichika.
No. I
Oh
don't know
really?
any names.
Hmm.
Like, I
Ichika.
would probably recognize, like, everyone's, like, work, but I don't know any names.
Okay. Ichika is like the guitarist everyone like is trying to sound like right now, the Japanese guitarist who plays like the tappy stuff. That's
Interesting. I Yeah, I feel like I would totally recognize, like, the stuff, but not the person.
that's like the sort of prog like guitar stuff side of like prog weeb. Um and then there's like just Mafu just having cool chords
Yeah.
and cool sound design. And like besides Mafu tons of other people. Sasakure UK. Um, that's one. A lot of whatever stuff. Like,
Mhm.
yeah, weeb music is cool because it has cool chords, basically. That's the
Yeah,
consensus.
pretty much, right?
Yeah. Um, I don't know. I think we've been going for a while, but I don't know. We could go for like 10 more minutes if you want.
Sure, yeah.
Do you have any like cool like harmony moments, like your favorite like harmony moments, like ever, and also within like Japanese music?
Um, ooh, let me think about that. I guess like the first thing I can think of, I guess kind of speaking of like Japanese, like or like progressive like things in the J rock pop like utaite stuff, music sphere, is man, I'm completely blanking on his name. If we edit this out, um, man, Blackadder guy's name again.
Hmm?
The Blackadder guy, the guy who did
Oh, yeah. It's in your video, right?
yeah, the that guy. Do you listen to any of his stuff?
No, actually, like not outside of just like anime stuff. I should though.
I mean I think he's done a lot of different openings, but
He's
some
done
crazy
soundtracks
stuff.
too,
Let
right?
me yeah, I think so. Yeah, yeah. I think he actually did like a lot of the Love Live something or other. I don't
Hmm.
know much about Love
Maybe
Live,
that's why
but
Love Live is
he
so
did a
good.
lot of that. Honestly, um, and there's this one opening that I mean to talk about, but it's like it's like very anime, like enough that like I think it's like not to say it's not accessible, but it's like oh geez. It's Jinsei Easy, which is from um, just from Jaku Chara Tomozaki-kun. Um, yeah, I mean, yeah, I would recommend
Hmm.
listening to it. It is completely bananas. Like, I think kind of like what you were saying, it's like weird chords, like weird, like random time sig changes and things like that.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, I guess like the whole thing about you know what? I'm gonna find out who the guy's name because I feel like it's a crime to just be talking about him and not um, say his name. Um,
Tabuchi
um,
Tomoya?
um, um,
Wait, is it? No, no.
it is. Oh my gosh.
Tanaka.
Hidekazu Tanaka.
Oh wait,
Yeah.
from Manaka
Um,
Project? Oh, yeah, that I do
yes.
know.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I do
Yeah.
know
Yeah.
Manaka Project. Okay. I didn't know that that person was yeah, okay.
Yeah.
I
Pretty
see.
much,
It
he's
all
like
makes
the not to
sense
say
now.
like the yeah yeah like the the I guess not the father of the Blackadder, but he's at least like the current master of the Blackadder. Like every single like tune he writes for anime or otherwise, like 10 million Blackadders, even distastefully. Um, whatever. But I think it's like that was I think a relatively recent like here's a chord that I've heard for a pretty long time that I just haven't like really just like sat down and thought about. And it's like going back to tunes that like I've had in my playlist and tunes I've listened to for like years. I'm like, oh, there's like Blackadders here and there. And of course, not to like attribute so much significance to like just a chord. Um, yeah, I think that's kind of one of those recent like here's like a very interesting chord that has a lot of fun things you can talk about that I just haven't thought about like ever. Um, so I guess like Black Eye is one of them. You think like fun harmony moments. Um, I don't want to say any Jacob stuff for obvious reasons,
Mm.
because whatever Jacob memes. Um, but I don't know. I would have to think about that a little bit. But I guess in recent, and I guess as it is relevant to like Japanese music, Blackadder.
Mm.
Yeah, maybe a boring answer, but Blackadder.
Let's talk about the Blackadder chord actually. I I'm still slightly confused on its like nature. So is it a
Hmm.
like is it kind of like because I think ongaku concept the video Joshua made was wait, his name's Joshua, right?
Hmm.
Yeah, I think he said it was like a augmented 6 without a third, which makes sense, but like a lot of times it's not used before a 5 because like an augmented 6 is just a predominant of 5, just like a tritone sub. Um
Yeah.
Sometimes it's just used like going wherever. I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, pretty much, I guess not to like I like the nomenclature of, like, I think he calls it, like, the Japanese augmented 6.
Yeah.
Um, and it's like I like the nomenclature kind of as it fits into the other things, but I think it's also kind of like a misnomer, I think exactly that reason, um, that it's like it doesn't normally precede a 5, um, and also, like, it's, I guess, well, yeah, classical harmony, yeah, my whole soapbox earlier, but I think classical harmony is restrictive. And I think like naming modern things in accordance with classical harmony rules is restrictive. Anyways, yeah. My soapbox is over.
Oh
But
yeah. Okay.
um, in terms of function, I think normally it functions kind of just as like a sub five. It normally resolves down by half step. I think in the examples I talked about in my video and things that I hear even nowadays. Actually, I guess fun fact: the Turning Red soundtrack. I think I talked about that in a TikTok or
Mhm.
something recently, but the Turning Red soundtrack, um, either the main theme or it was the main character's theme, um, has a Blackadder actually, and I think it just resolves down.
Hmm.
Yeah, so I don't know if you can hear this one.
Yeah, I could hear.
Um, I guess
Hmm.
not with Blackadder like on downbeat, but it's kind of resolves to the
Hmm.
um.
It
I think most times it resolves kind of like just down a half step, kind of like a sub five or any tritone sub.
Yeah, in that case it's just kind of like a weird tritone sub then.
Pretty much, yeah. Because I think like, and not to get like super into like chord skills and all that stuff, which I'm sure is also like kind of like your bread and butter from like the jazz
Yeah.
idiom, but because like tritone subs take the uh Lydian dominant, right? All tritone subs take Lydian dominant, um,
Uh yeah, altered
which
scale equivalently.
yeah. So like it's pretty much like it fits very nicely into kind of that like Lydian dominant feel with like the it's like a whole tone, but it's
you, you could say it's a seven a 9 sharp 11 chord.
yeah, pretty much. I mean, it's kind of just a hybrid, right? It's just,
Yeah.
like it's not like two
Yeah,
different things.
not
It's kind of
having the
exactly
3
right.
kind of, like, makes it so versatile because, when like, the point of,
Exactly.
like, the tritone sub is that you have the 3 and the 7, and they're interchangeable, but,
Hmm.
without the 3 there to, like, give it a extremely strong pull towards one thing, um, I think you could, like, throw it in a lot of places.
For sure. I think it certainly has like that kind of ambiguous, yeah, kind of like exactly what you were saying. It's a very ambiguous kind of sound. It can really go wherever. I know Hidekazu Tanaka, like he likes to do either like cycle down by fifth, or he or he like goes down in like whole steps, like the I don't know if I can do this, but like the
Oh,
that kind of thing.
with
Yeah,
Blackadder chords? That's cool.
yeah, it's like so extra, but
Yeah, I need
it's
to
just
listen
Hidekazu Tanaka.
more of him. That's cool. Um, oh, I don't know, what's your favorite chord?
Favorite chord. Um, you know what? I can show you my like dumbest and like most that's like pretentious chord that I've come up with in recent memory, but it's here. I'll just play it. It's I guess kind of also this is like a Blackadder but funnier. It's um so my analysis for that is it is a hybridized
With the
like
natural 4? Is that what I'm hearing?
it's So the like yeah, so it's I guess this specific voicing is C, B flat, D, F sharp, B, C, B flat, D, F sharp, B. So it's essentially like a dominant chord without the third or fifth, with
Oh,
9, sharp 11, like a Blackadder, and with what I call tension 14. It's not like it's not the major seventh. It's tension 14, and my rationale is that you hear this really sounds like a seventh, and because of the tension already existing in the chord,
oh, yeah. Sorry, I thought
um,
I thought it was an 11. Yeah, it's a natural 7. Yeah, that sounds
yeah,
cool. Like,
it's like a fun. It doesn't feel like a seven, right? It wants to resolve, right?
how do you resolve it though?
It's like you could do whatever. I mean, I was just doing like shoot, I actually had a fun it's like really stupid, but um it's like actually really stupid, but the
uh, uh,
it's like it's really stupid, but pretty much I hear the tension 14 and wanting to resolve to the fifth of yeah, it just acts like a dominant chord and it wants to resolve to the fifth of the next chord. Um
that's cool.
yeah.
I've actually never used a chord with a dominant and like natural 7 or major 7 at the same time. Interesting. Um,
I should look into it. It's so
yeah.
funny.
It's like I've never used like a 11 and a sharp 11 at the same time either. It sound
Yeah, ooh, actually I love that one too. Yeah. I can't think of a good or um context for that, so I
I
won't play it.
actually
But yeah,
like,
I agree.
despite really liking dissonance, I haven't like done anything like that dissonant. I think like I don't know, like for my favorite chord, like it's kind of cheesy, but it's just like stacked fifths, like anime
Mhm.
stacked fifths. That just sounds amazing. Major chord stacked
Like
fifth.
the kinda like the Lydian kind of sound?
Um, Actually, just like stack 4 fifths before you get to the major 7, the sharp 11, and I think that sounds great. Just like do 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 do. Sorry, do 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 do. That kind of sound.
Like
It's just like, yeah, like, like Ghibli-ish kind of piano.
yeah, for
Um,
sure.
and then major 7 sharp 11s are great because jazz.
Classic.
And
Yeah.
then I would say one of the my favorite chords that I've actually found myself using is just like a major 7, except okay, so I've used this in multiple songs recently. You have a like instead of you go from like a 1 to a 5 somehow, like walk down or whatever. Except the
Mhm.
5 is a major 7.
Ooh, interesting. Um,
Yeah.
interesting.
So like
Yeah.
actually I literally like I didn't pay for DistroKid enough, so my album got released on Spotify yesterday before I was prepared to like promote it, but like my album is up like right now, so I could like send you one of the songs where I did that.
For
Also
sure. Yeah.
like shameless like self plug.
You
Yeah.
know, like yeah, interesting. That's and you just use it just like a 5, like that would just resolve,
Um
I guess.
I in in the song that I'm talking about, it went back to a major 6. A flat 6, major 7.
Flat 6. Like 1, 2, 5, flat 6?
It was oh, okay, so the chords, yeah, it's so annoying not having a piano, but the chords I had were flat 6, flat 7, uh minor or like 5 5 or minor 5, 1 step down, 1 major 1 major 7 flat 7, f- m- uh natural 6, flat 6, 5 major 7, and then back
I got
to
lost in the last few.
yeah, sorry. Yeah, it's probably just, like, easier to just, like, listen to the song. I'll send it to you later.
Yeah.
I also did a similar sort of thing in a different song, which I haven't released yet, but, like, I'm really into, like, that 5 major 7 sound. It's cool.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Kinda like some, like, modal interchange kinda thing, right?
Yeah, it's kind of like I guess it would technically be a modulation or whatever, but I think
Mm.
what really makes it good is the tritone. Like I don't know,
Yeah.
if you're in C, then the F sharp. I think
Mhm.
that makes it good. And it has, like, a nice resolution to it, yeah. This is truly, like, becoming a
Interesting.
music theory, like, whatever.
I mean, music is
But, like,
fun
that was the
sometimes.
point. Um, yeah, but I don't know. It's been, like, 90 minutes, so that's usually, like, the length of the podcast, so it was, yeah, it was really fun talking to you, and I like your videos. I unfortunately, I haven't listened to, like, all of your music, but I've listened to a few tracks on SoundCloud. But, you know, yeah, it was fun. It was
Yeah.
also
Thanks for having me.
yeah, yeah, do you wanna, like, uh, plug your channel or anything?
Um, sure. Yeah. I mean, I'm just Cadence Hira. I have a TikTok now, with only 3 videos, but I'll put out more in the future. Um, yeah. Check out Cadence Hira. Check out Kiyame, one of my best friends who also like a YouTube, like Japanese music and stuff like that. Yeah. That's all I'll plug.
Okay, send me links and I'll link them in the description. Yeah. Okay.
Cool.
Alright. That was, Cal Animage podcast episode, 8, I think, uh, with, Cadence Hira. Thank you. Bye.